Good afternoon. As Marshal of the University of Chicago, it's my honor to welcome you once more to the 511th Convocation of the University of Chicago and to the presentation of diplomas to the graduates of the Division of the Social Sciences. Let me now introduce the Dean of the Division of the Social Sciences, John Mark Hansen. Please be seated.
On behalf of the faculty of the Division of the Social Sciences, welcome to Rockefeller Memorial Chapel in the University of Chicago. This morning, President Robert J. Zimmer conferred degrees on 152 students who have completed programs of study in the Social Sciences Division. This afternoon, my colleagues and I have the honor to recognize their achievements individually by presenting them with the diplomas and hoods of the University of Chicago. Today, we celebrate their accomplishments. But today, we also mark the culmination of our work as the faculty in the social sciences. In recognizing these graduates of our programs, we also reflect upon our accomplishments as teachers, consultants, directors, and advisors. And today, we also honor one of our own number upon nomination of our students with the Faculty Award for Excellence in Graduate Teaching. Let me introduce Professor Mario Small from the Department of Sociology to present this year's award.
In 4 short years at the University of Chicago, Kristen Schilt has excelled in scholarship, service, teaching, and advising. Her research on gender and sexuality has been intellectually risky, theoretically innovative, and consistently even-handed, altering how scholars conceive of the relationship between gender and human capital. Her editorship of the book review section of the most important journal of the discipline has been outstanding. Her organization of formal and informal workshops has improved the experience of both faculty and students across the university. Kristen Schilt's instruction and mentoring of students has been exemplary, a model of openness, frankness, and constructive criticism. She has quickly become not only one of the most popular educators on campus, but also one of the most trusted, changing for the better the undergraduate and graduate experience of many of our students. The university comes closer to its highest aspirations because of her indefatigable work. Mr. Hansen, I have the honor to present Kristen Schilt for the Faculty Award for Excellence in Graduate Teaching.
In a community of gifted scholars, Kristen Schilt stands out not only as a superb teacher, but also as a deeply engaged mentor. By encouraging openness, offering frank advice, and insisting on constructive critique, Kristen Schilt is helping a fresh generation of students thrive as both scholars and human beings. Kristen, congratulations.
It is my privilege to introduce Professor Bruce Cumings, who will deliver the remarks. Professor Cumings is the Gustavus F. and Ann M. Swift Distinguished Service Professor in History and the College, and Chair of the Department of History. He earned his doctoral degree in political science from Columbia University in 1975. He served on the faculty at Swarthmore College, the University of Washington, and Northwestern University, and joined our faculty in 1987. Professor Cumings' research focuses on modern Korean history, U.S. East Asian relations, and East Asian political economy. His 2-volume study, The Origins of the Korean War, garnered major prizes. He is the editor of the modern volume of the Cambridge History of Korea, and he was principal consultant for the PBS documentary, Korea, The Unknown War. He is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and he has been honored at the University of Chicago Award for Excellence in Graduate Teaching. In 2007, he was awarded the Kim Dae-jung Prize for scholarly contributions to democracy, human rights, and peace. Professor Cumings.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for those wonderful remarks. Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to all of you who are now Dr. Smith or Master Smith, and welcome to friends and family gathered here today to share this precious moment in your lives. We know how much they and you did to help make this day possible. I'm charged with making a few brief remarks on behalf of the Social Sciences Division. I emphasize again brief because this is a day of many speeches. Let me first say what a privilege it has been for me and our faculty and staff to work with all of you to do what we can to advance your knowledge and propel you toward rewarding careers and a lifetime of learning. We take genuine pride in our accomplishments and great pleasure in marking this day. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the Dean of the Social Sciences Division, my good friend Mark Hansen, on his 10 years of service. Well, 9 years, 11 months, 21 days, 2 hours, and 15 minutes that he has left. The division has advanced remarkably under his leadership, and I've particularly enjoyed working with him. The minute that Mark retires as dean, John Boyer will begin a new 5-year term as dean of the college. He actually walked over to my office and asked me if I would be kind enough to support him for another term. And I looked at him and I said, John, just twist my arm real hard. John has been either master or dean since I came here 25 years ago. The other evening, while watching the Boston Celtics collapse, I was reading one of his many books on the history of the university, particularly about the 1930s when my parents were here. They met in Harper Library, as a matter of fact. My father was working on his PhD in Germanics, and my mother was a history major. They got married in Bond Chapel. My father always told me that Mom was a summa cum laude graduate, but after I came here, our staff actually looked her up. Class of 36, B average. After my dad passed away, I queried her about this slight discrepancy in her record, and she said, "He told you that? Oh, I was a sorority girl." Somehow, the history faculty inoculated her against ever again reading a serious book of history. But the college achieved something. She mastered Greek and Latin, and her favorite job is when she directed the philosophy library at Stanford. Next Tuesday, we'll celebrate her 97th birthday. The first three named person that I heard as a child was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the second was Robert Maynard Hutchins. I guess I'm a little bit like George W. Bush. I joined my father's firm. John Boyer, in his books, has many interesting stories and vignettes about Hutchins. Above all, his unshakable commitment to the quality of this university and the life of the mind. But one story John didn't mention, at least in the volume I was reading, appeared in the New York Times last September. When asked in 1939 why he had gotten rid of a football team that recently had won a national championship, the original monsters of the Midway, Hutchins responded, "Football is to education as bullfighting is to agriculture." This austere university resembles in some respects a feudal society, strong domains called departments, and weak kings called deans, provosts, and presidents. We don't have promotion and tenure committees, ad hoc committees, 50-odd vice presidents of this, that, and the other. And when the departments decide to promote a colleague to tenure, the decision is rarely overturned. Of course, Robert Maynard Hutchins knew more about this than anybody. He was a force of nature, but he often lamented how difficult it was to make any serious change in the structure of this university. I joke with my wife, who is the dean at the University of Virginia, that we could come back in 100 years and two universities would be essentially the same, Chicago and Virginia. Even then, not a day would pass without talking about Mr. Jefferson. They're both great American universities, originals, not facsimiles, in contrast to those colonial implants called Harvard and Yale. Our relatively light administration would never work without the selfless dedication and boundless experience of scholars like Mark Hansen and John Boyer. I salute them. It's an honor to work with both of them, and it's also fun, most of the time. Chicago began with one distinction that it took Virginia and Harvard and Yale and a bunch of other places a century and a half to figure out, which is that women make excellent scholars too. Chicago was coeducational from the start, and 12% of the original faculty in 1892 were women. 22% of undergraduates were women in 1910, the year after my father was born, 34% by 1920. One of the first African-American women to earn a doctorate in the United States was Georgiana Simpson, bachelor's degree in 1911, MA in 1920, PhD in 1921. Unfortunately, however, a century later, in 1982, women constituted just 11% of the faculty, but we did have the distinction of appointing Hannah Gray as the first woman president of a top university. Today, about a quarter of our faculty are women. That's better, but this leaves lots of room for improvement. We know where that advance will come from. All we need to do is look at the faces of our students. Half of the students in the college are women, and compared to when I came here, a far greater proportion of our doctoral students are women. One of my duties as chair of the history department is to review all of our dissertations before they are deposited for proper style and format. Some I review, some I peruse, and some I read from start to finish. Often in the latter case, the dissertations are by students of Sheila Fitzpatrick, a scholar who built and now dominates the field of an archivally based, grounded history of the Soviet Union, and who is, to our great regret, retiring this month. Many years ago, when I first read Sheila's work, I had an odd, no doubt male chauvinist awakening. You could not tell, there was no hint that this book was written by a woman, and her subject was Joseph Stalin. Now I see this quality in dissertations and books all the time. If this story reflects my own shortcomings, that makes it no less important, and this bias isn't mine alone. The other day, Cynthia Ozick wrote in the New York Times, and I'm quoting her, "I once ventured a definition of feminism. Feminism is that idea which opposes segregation, which means to abolish mythological divisions, which declares that the imagination cannot be set free because it's already free. I am," she said, "as a writer of whatever I wish to become. I can think myself into a male or a female or a stone or a raindrop or a block of wood or the leg of a mosquito." Classical feminism, she concluded, was conceived of as the end of false barriers and boundaries, as the end of segregationist fictions and restraints. This university, and especially this division, is deservedly famous or really notorious for being a highly critical place in which evidence and assumptions are challenged at every turn. In the classrooms, in workshops, in hundreds of daily interactions here on campus, and of course, in dissertation defenses. When I spent a year at the Institute for Advanced Study at Stanford, the director convened the inaugural meeting of our class of dozens of scholars. And he said that every Wednesday evening they had a seminar where the fellows would present their work. And then he said, and again I'm quoting him, "And we don't want any Chicago-style sack the quarterback attacks." He was looking directly at me. I guess he understood that we do have a football team in spite of what Hutchins said in 1939. By now, you have all negotiated this intense atmosphere successfully. You've dealt with or suffered criticism, and you have internalized, we hope, the most important product that we offer, critical habits of the mind that will carry you through your careers and through your lives. To the extent that we have succeeded, we will have placed in your hands the future of the 8 disciplines in our division, advancing knowledge and bettering our democracy, casting off received wisdom and creating your own. Let me extend our congratulations to all who have made this day possible, to you, the graduates, to your family and friends, to your teachers, and to all those who have inhabited this great university since 1892, including my beloved, if be average, mother. Thank you very much.
At this time, in the favoring presence of the congregation here assembled, the chairs of the several departments and programs, or their appointed representatives, will present the recipients of diplomas to the Dean of the Division. The acting chair of the Committee on International Relations will now present to the Dean the recipients of the degree of Master of Arts in International Relations.
Dean Hansen, these students have completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Committee on International Relations. On behalf of the faculty in the Committee on International Relations, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Master of Arts.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in the Committee on International Relations. I now present you with the diploma of the University of Chicago.
Peter William Austin. McGann Holiday Bylas. Christopher Bilbrow. Daniel Mun Choi. Laura Claire Kirkendall. Olivia Davis. Morgan Ashley Dean. Stephanie Ann Denzer. Claire Renee Gaynor. Jason T. Hunt. Griffin Paul Jackson. Benjamin Parsons Duval Kaufman. Elizabeth Keating. Magdalena Lasota Morales. Colette Marie Morgan. Jakub Miha Olszewicz. Jinglin Pan. Chris G. Price. Andrew Robert Rath. Paul Schweiker. Raifa Shams. Aditi Rajiv Shirodkar. Nilma Asif Siddiqui. McGann Elizabeth Smeaton. Jasmine Page Swanigan.
The Deputy Director of the Center for Middle Eastern Studies will now present to the Dean the recipients of the degree of Master of Arts in Middle Eastern Studies.
Dean Hansen, these students have completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Center for Middle Eastern Studies. On behalf of the faculty in the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Master of Arts.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in Middle Eastern Studies. I now present you with the diploma of the University of Chicago.
Tahir Omar Abdullah. Andrew Ross Boyd. Jeffrey Paul Bristol. Matthew Hess. Nahida Taliani.
The Academic Associate Dean of the Division of the Social Sciences and Director of the Master of Arts program in the Social Sciences will now present to the Dean the recipients of the degree of Master of Arts in the Social Sciences.
Dean Hansen, these students have completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Master of Arts program in the Social Sciences. On behalf of the faculty in the Social Sciences Division, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Master of Arts.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in the social sciences. I now present you with the diploma of the University of Chicago.
Kodrin Stefan Arsène. Thomas Eugene Bertorelli. Hanisa Binte Abdullah Sane. Jessa Kennedy Dahl. Monica Diaz Terrazas. Keith M. Ferguson. Fiona Marie Gideon Ashi. Brandon Abraham Hale. Margaret Megan Cross Harris. Rebecca Christine Harwick. Jane Elizabeth McCammon. Emma Louise McGuire. Tommaso Pavone. Daniel Nevin Perky. Matthew Sazma. Javier Antonio Soler. Eric Eugene Swiecki. Glenda Yawen Tang. Heather Renee Wellborn. Kira Katrina Wilpon Jordan.
The Chair of the Department of Anthropology will now present to the Dean the recipients of the degree of Master of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy in Anthropology.
Dean Hansen, this student has completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Department of Anthropology. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Anthropology, I now have the honor to present him as recipient of the degree of Master of Arts. Eric Michael Hirsch. Dean Hansen, the students I now present have attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and have prepared dissertations which contribute to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Anthropology, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in anthropology. I now present you with the diploma and hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
David Muniver Bolat, whose dissertation is Rebuilding Society, Northern Rock as a Real Abstraction. Nusrat Sabina Chaudhry, Energy Emergency, Pulbari and Democratic Politics in Bangladesh. Deneen Anne Marguerite de Quintal, Race, Face, and American Indian Nations, Native American Identity in Southern New England. Michael Anthony Di Giovanni, Making Saints, Remaking Lives, Pilgrimage and Revitalization in the Land of St. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina. Anita Hanig, The Gift of Cure, Childbirth Injuries, Clinical Structures, and Religious Subjects in Ethiopia.
A representative from the Department of Comparative Human Development will now present to the Dean the recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Comparative Human Development.
Dean Hansen, each of the students I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of study. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Comparative Human Development, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in comparative human development. I now present you with the diploma and hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Pinky Hota, Affecting Violence, Development, Religion, and Indigeneity in Condomal. Leila Kasim, Psychotherapy Between Two Cultures, a portrait of psychotherapists in Egypt.
The chair of the Department of Economics will now present to the dean the recipients of the degrees of Master of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy in Economics and Doctor of Philosophy in Financial Economics.
Dean Hansen, this student has completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Department of Economics. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Economics, I now have the honor to present him as recipient of the degree of Master of Arts.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in economics. I now present you with the diploma of the University of Chicago.
Andre Luis Dere Torres Fernandez Polquerio. Dean Hansen, each of the students I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Economics, I have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in economics. I now present you with the diploma and hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Sarah Julie Katan, Psychological Traits and the Gender Wage Gap. Ray Calasso Silva, Internal Labor Markets and Investment Behavior of Conglomerates. Eshahin Ibrahimi, Liquidity Choice, Productivity and Efficiency. Maria Margarida Figueiredo Soares, Firm Boundaries and the Power of Incentives. Mariano Lanfranconi, Strategic Default und Mortgage Contracts. Jung-Hoon Lee, Uncertainty, Non-Convex Adjustment Costs and Reallocation. Eisuke Okada, Essays on Economic Growth and the Time Allocation of Households. Benjamin Wild Pugsley, Essays on Small Business. Francisco Luis Roch, Essays on Sovereign Debt, Default, Fiscal Rules and Bailouts. Mehmet Fatih Ulu, Heterogeneity and Uncertainty in the Dynamics of Firm Selection into Foreign Markets. Benjamin Douglas Williams, Latent Variables Models. Dean Hansen, the student I now present, has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Economics and in the Booth School of Business, I have the honor to present him as recipient of the joint degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Financial Economics.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in financial economics. I now present you with the diploma in Hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Dean Hansen, this student I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Economics, I have the honor to present her as recipient of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in economics. I now present you with the diploma in Hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Anna Wong.
The chair of the Department of History will now present to the dean the recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in History.
Dean Hansen, each of these students I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of History, I have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in history. I now present you with the diploma and hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Jennifer Ann Amos, Soviet Diplomacy and Politics on Human Rights, 1945 to 1977. Sarah Yael Hirschhorn, City on a Hilltop, the participation of Jewish American immigrants within the Israeli settler movement, 1967 to 1987. Andrew Paul Janko, Soviet displaced persons in Europe, 1941 to 1951. Xingyi Gao, Yan Fu, modern China's key transitional figure. Kelly King O'Brien, The Trials of Interracial Advocacy, White-Collar Work, Race, and Inclusion in Post-World War II Chicago. Yoon Kyung Gwan, Ending Slavery, Narrating Emancipation, Revolutionary Legacies in the French Anti-Slavery Debate, and, quote, Silencing the Haitian Revolution, end quote, 1814 to 1848. Antonio Sotomayor Carlo, Playing the Nation in a Colonial Island, Sport, Culture, and Politics in Puerto Rico. Marcia Ann Walker, Faith in the Struggle, Reverend Addie Wyatt, and the Fight for Labor, Civil Rights, and Women's Rights. Michael Herseg Westren, Nations in Exile, the Punished Peoples, in quotes, in Soviet Kazakhstan, 1941 to 1961.
The chair of the Department of Political Science will now present to the dean the recipients of the degrees of Master of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy in Political Science.
Dean Hanson, these students have completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Department of Political Science. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Political Science, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Masters of Arts.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in political science. I now present you with the diploma of the University of Chicago.
Alexandra Panet. Yuna Park. Dean Hanson, each of the students I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Political Science, I have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in political science. I now present you with the diploma and hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Kevin Gisbert Ruby, Society, State, and Fear, Managing National Security at the Boundary Between Complacency and Panic. Erica Snyder Simmons, Markets, Movements, and Meanings, Subsistence, Resources, and Political Protest in Mexico and Bolivia.
The chair of the Department of Psychology will now present to the dean the recipients of the degrees of Master of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy in Psychology.
Dean Hansen, these students have completed the program of study prescribed by the faculty in the Department of Psychology. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Psychology, I now have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Master of Arts.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in psychology. I now present you with the diploma of the University of Chicago.
Juliana R. Schroeder. Ashley Nicole Wynn. Dean Hansen, each of the students I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Psychology, I have the honor to present them as recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in psychology. I now present you with the diploma in Hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Nicole C. Baltazar, Social Influences on Children's Emotion Perception. Elizabeth Ann Gunderson, Individual Differences in Early Number Knowledge, Variation in the Learner and the Learning Environment.
I will now present to the dean the recipient of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Social Thought and Romance Languages and Literatures. Dean Hansen, the student I present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the NEF Committee on Social Thought and in the Department of Romance and Literatures and Languages, I have the honor to present him as recipient of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in social thought and Romance languages and literatures. I now present you with the diploma in Hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Michael Jonathan Subialka. The Aesthetics of Ambivalence, Pirandello, Schopenhauer, and the Transformation of the European Social Imaginary. The chair of the Department of Sociology will now present to the dean the recipient of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Sociology.
Dean Hansen, the student I now present has attained scholarly distinction in advanced studies and has prepared a dissertation which contributes to knowledge in a particular field of research. On behalf of the faculty in the Department of Sociology, I have the honor to present her as a recipient of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
You have successfully completed a program of advanced study in sociology. I now present you with the diploma in Hood of the University of Chicago and welcome you to this ancient and honorable company of scholars.
Jennifer Louise Hannes Martin. Women and children first, in that order, making sense of the athletic pursuits of middle-class mothers.
It is an honor as a representative of the Social Sciences Division faculty to greet you this afternoon and to extend congratulations to all of you, the outstanding women and men who have received your diploma. The word educate derives from the Latin educare, meaning to bring up, and today in this chapel you are surrounded by many of those who have brought you up, your family, your faculty, and your university, your alma mater. We are all proud of your accomplishments, and we know that you as alumni will continue to bring distinction to the University of Chicago in your work from this day forward. Congratulations and good luck wherever fate shall take you. At the University of Chicago, we believe education, your education, is a serious business for serious people. Here it is not your pedigree or your possessions or your social graces that distinguishes you, but the quality of your ideas. We delight in an original thought, we savor a well-crafted line of reasoning, and we never, but never, allow anybody, students or faculty, to take the easy way out of an argument. Ours is a very demanding environment, and you have worked very hard to meet our expectations. Surely there were days of self-confidence and days of self-doubt. Perhaps some of you feared that this moment would never come. I hope you'll agree, however, that the experience was as exciting, as exhilarating as it was challenging. But of course, as hard as you have worked to achieve this degree for yourself, you did not get to this day all alone. Your family and your friends supported and sustained you through the busy days and the long nights. The staff in your department or your program and the staff in the university soothed your path. The faculty kindled your curiosity, shaped your ideas, cultivated your talents, and urged you and guided you forward to this moment. And so now I invite you all to rise, graduates, to turn and face behind, and to take a moment to acknowledge the partners, the parents, the children, the siblings, the family, and the friends who got you here. For some of you, this day marks a milestone on the path of your education. For others, it marks a turning point, the completion of your education and the start of your work as a scholar, as a teacher, as a minister to the needs of our fellows, or as a leader in one of the institutions of our society. Wherever you are called in life, I hope you will make your world and ours a more enlightened, more just, and more humane place. You might start by drawing on a skill we taught you here. A friend once asked the Nobel laureate physicist I.I. Rabi about the source of his success as a scientist. Every other Jewish mother in Brooklyn, Rabi replied, would ask her child, "So, did you learn anything today?" But not my mother. "Izzy," she would say, "did you ask a good question today?" That difference, asking good questions, made me a scientist. Wherever you were as a student in the social sciences division, you learned the skills of critical reasoning, of taking received ideas and ways of the world and putting them to question. By now, it should be second nature. That discipline of asking good questions, that same sensibility that will make you an effective scholar or teacher or leader, can also make you a great and productive member of our society. Whatever the endeavor, we know from our experience, we will not get the right answers if we do not ask the right questions. Congratulations, and may you always ask good questions. As scholars, teachers, leaders, and citizens, thank you, good afternoon, and good luck.
Before we conclude, at this time, it's my great pleasure to express, on behalf of the faculty of the division, congratulations to Mark Hansen on his 10 years as Dean of the division, and the thanks of his faculty colleagues for his stewardship and service to us. And so, with the congratulations of the faculty of the division to all of our new alumni, this concludes the awarding of diplomas in the Division of the Social Sciences and the 511th Convocation of the University of Chicago. Thank you. Good luck.